So I absolutely adored the original Remnant. I did a pretty long video on it, and I loved it. I played the game and almost all of the DLC, and it was just a fascinating experience for me. The shooting was great. The story was okay. I wouldn't say the story like blew my mind away, but it was okay. The loot system was phenomenal. The procedurally generated worlds, the exploration, all that kind of stuff. So when I heard they were coming out with Remnant 2, I was super stoked because I was like, okay, this is all the great things of Remnant, right? It has to be, and then more. And thankfully, that's exactly what it is. I did not get to this game as early as I wanted. I know it's been out for some time. I finally picked it up on a kind of Black Friday type sale. I think I got like $15 off or something. But here you see me playing it on my PlayStation 5, and it's just like putting on a worn pair of shoes. It just feels good. It just works. And that's exactly what I wanted from this game, and that's exactly what I've gotten. At this particular gameplay, this is very early on, but as with most of my kind of gameplay and kind of the be-real in the background, I don't want to give away too much, although I would emphasize to you guys that there's not a ton to give away. The story is kind of ho-hum like the first one. I don't think it's going to blow your mind with creative writing or anything like that. And there are actually some instances where I wish they'd kind of quit giving exposition. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But I just wanted to say that this is very early on in the game. So you notice on the bottom left of my screen, there's not a lot of stuff going on there. I'm using the basic guns. I'm still using the starting gear that you get when you pick your character class. But it's a good representation of what to expect. And if you like this style of gameplay and you like what you're seeing, I want you to know there's a lot more coming. And it does get more in depth, and there is more to do. But this is the nuts and bolts of the game. It's the looting, it's the shooting, it's the exploring, it's the dodging out of the way to not get attacked by enemies, it's managing your resources, whether it be your stamina because you're diving around, or your bullets, or your health potions, or whatever. So when this game starts, it's very exposition heavy, and I don't know why. They do a lot of recapping from the first experience, explaining to you what is going on in this universe, and it gives you some loose dialogue options. It doesn't really impact anything. It's just if you want to make your character more inquisitive or less inquisitive, I guess. But you could easily spend over an hour, yes, an hour, going through the tutorial type discussions early on in the game. And it's just so aggravating because it's just like, let me get into the gameplay already. There's a lot of exposition, and then when the moment occurs, when you are basically transported to these strange new worlds, it seems very stupid, and it kind of negates all the discussion that went on before. So I'm not really sure the creative thought process there. Thankfully, once the game does get going, you are greeted with yet a little bit more exposition when you start off in your selected world. And when that begins and ends just as quickly if you want it to, you're finally in, and then the talking stops, and the shooting begins, and it gets pretty fun. So just be warned that I was concerned about the pacing, and it does get better. I know it sounds like I'm making a lot of excuses on this game. I'm not. It's definitely got a budget feel at times. The first one did too. Some of the animations seem insanely janky. Some of the voice acting is questionable, but the parts that matter, the parts that I'm going to focus on, those are the things that I think are going to keep you logging in and continuing to play. So because it is procedurally based, there's going to be no two sessions that are ever the same. You're going to be tasked with going into various places to pretty much liquidate everything. Take out the big bads, solve some basic puzzles, and do some exploration if you want. Gear up, rinse, repeat. Nothing insanely unique about this formula here, other than to say that, you know, it is kind of Dark Souls with guns, although I have noticed so far, and maybe it's because I have a dog companion who acts as basically a tank for me, I really haven't had much issue in dying. As a matter of fact, the few times that I did die, It was because I was exploring the map, and I basically fell off a cliff and died, but I didn't realize that's what I was doing. I thought I was like jumping down into another area to explore, and I died. But in terms of like an enemy besting me, it hasn't happened yet. Not to say I'm God's gift to gaming, but you're going to be able to kite a lot of enemies, and depending on the weapons you use, and depending on your situational awareness and where you position your character on the map, you're going to be able to take out enemies at range. Like you can see these guys out here. They're absolutely no threat to me. I feel like in the first game, the enemies kind of did more Dark Souls-y, like gotcha, like they were standing around the corner with like a knife poised, and the second you turn, they stabbed you. I don't really feel like I have to do that much corner checking on this game, which is good. Although I will say a lot of enemies do have this kind of annoying ability to teleport randomly around the map, and you'll be fighting them and then they'll just vanish, and they might not appear right away. And usually it's when you're off doing something else, like there, where all of a sudden a group of enemies spawns behind you. It's like, wait a minute, I just cleared this corner. I felt like I was safe here. You're not. Other than that, which is annoying and it does happen and it gets worse as the game goes on, I never felt like it was as gotcha on the other one. So I kind of feel like almost the description of Dark Souls with guns maybe doesn't necessarily apply to this game anymore, at least this sequel. And that's not to say it's not hard, and that's not to say it's not challenging or fun or rewarding. There are multiple difficulties, which only really just make enemies more bullet spongy. It doesn't actually change the tactics of the game. But in terms of performing those kind of perfect dodges and those perfect rolls and running away and, you know, being smart about ammo boxes and ammo conservation, using melee versus range, all that kind of stuff does seem to take a back seat in this experience, which may be welcoming to some, for sure, because the first one was a little harder than I think it needed to be. What really makes this game stand out, the shooting feels so slick, especially I'm using my DualSense Edge. It just feels so good in the hand. The reloading, the aiming, the weapon bloom, the weapon, everything about it, the recoil, it all just feels great. Big, heavy guns like the Coach gun, which is a big shotgun, versus your smaller sidearm, definitely feel and handle differently. And you definitely have a sense of lots of tools at your disposal. The way the upgrade system works, you're going to be able to try out a lot of guns. If you want to do a little bit more grinding, you'll be able to max out most things. You're not going to have to make those super tough decisions, with the exception of the relics and the remnants that you get, see what I did there, from bosses that you fight. So those will be kind of like those boss souls that will give you an item that's basically, okay, you can select something from this list. So other than that, and it'll be pretty clear, by the way, like what your play style, like what are you going for? Do you want to be more tanky? Do you want to be more ranged? You know, what do you want to be? That will really determine, I think, a lot of the selections you make early on. Just like in the first game, there's tons of character classes to pick from. There's a lot of, you start off with a few, there's a lot more. You have to find them. I'll talk about the exploration in just a moment. But suffice to say, you're going to find something that you like. I decided, since I'm going to be playing this solo, I decided to bring the dog with me, because who doesn't like a dog? The dog is great because the dog acts like a tank. The dog can res you when you get knocked. The dog will automatically go attack things if you're not paying attention and you're about to get ganked or something. The dog's just a great friend. And the best part is it's a dog. You can pet him and he makes little dog panty noises and it's cute. I like it. So that's what I played. But there are other classes that you can select if you want to go more run and gun, if you want to play with your friends and synergize some of the abilities and kind of swap how the skills work. You can do that too. You can kind of change how you kind of change up what your abilities are, because a lot of them do synergize with each other, and a lot of them do kind of work in, you can be more of a support role. You don't have to just be the DPS guy. If you want to do more tanky stuff, if you want to do more healing stuff, there are places for that in this game. And I suspect as more post-game content launches and as more stuff kind of advances, I think you're going to see more of that kind of raid system take place. So that is very, very exciting. What you're looking at right now here is something I wanted to talk about, which is the exploration. I did a little bit of a jump cut there because I didn't want to bore you guys with me trying to figure out the puzzle. There are a lot of puzzles in this game, and some of them are a little more intuitive than others. The thing that I like about this game with the exploration is that you will absolutely be rewarded if you take your time to check every little nook and cranny. And that doesn't just mean, breaking every pot, which is good. You will get materials that way, or rolling through every bookcase or anything like that. You will absolutely be able to, find trinkets and stuff. But there are massive, massive parts of this game that are locked inside of side dungeons, even within those side dungeons, where there is even additional stuff to do, even after the game has seemed to indicate to you that you have completed all of the tasks in that dungeon. There's still more to do. This particular area that I was in, which is the very first place I found to explore, it's a little side area called the Lament. Inside of there is kind of the golden path, which leads you to that puzzle that I solved, which requires you to look around at kind of these sarcophaguses and decipher a clue. You open the door. It's very clear that what I'm fighting now should be like the final boss, right? So you go inside the room. You could see on the mini-map there, you walk down to the end of the room. There's a big treasure chest. You beat the boss. Game over, right? No, wrong. There are more areas to explore after you do this. And even inside of those areas, there are yet more areas. Each of which resulted in me finding really cool armor sets and rings and unique crafting materials, which was really, really fun. So if you are the type of person who really wants to take your time and explore every little nook and cranny, rest assured your hard work will be appreciated. And the game developers, I think, did a really good job of kind of making sure that you had that really good balance of that kind of exploration where they put checkpoints in places. Even in these side areas, there's checkpoints, and there are kind of those, like the bonfire in the game where you can go up to a crystal, get all your ammo back, basically reset all the enemies, but it also acts as like a save point as well. Those are even hidden inside the bonus areas as well. So you're going to have a really good time finding and looting and exploring if you want to. I spent probably 3 hours in the Lament last night working through and collecting last night, sorry. I spent like 3 hours going through the Lament when I played this, like a week ago. Last night I was in another area. I don't want to talk about that, which was also equally very cool. You'll get to it. But what I was going to say was that these areas all take a long time. I don't think any dungeon I've done so far I cleared in under an hour and a half. Now, maybe I'm just really slow and I'm dumb and it takes me a while to solve these puzzles because I try not to look online like I legitimately want to find them. But I did, and that was cool, and I felt rewarded for it. You'll also find unique enemies in these things too, which was really a lot of fun. There's an enemy you'll fight later on inside of a puzzle area where you have to shoot different crystals to unlock a hidden floor. There's an enemy that will only attack you when your back is turned to them. So you have to kind of like look away and then snap your camera back, take a shot. And the reveal of that enemy is so well done because the music doesn't change. Your dog, at least my dog's like barking, like, hey, there's an enemy nearby. I don't see anything. I turn around, I turn back. All of a sudden, the room which I previously cleared, there's kind of this monster-looking dude just standing, but he's encased in stone. And he wasn't there before. It was really, really cool, and it was a very fun moment. There's a lot of those type of, like, exciting moments in the game where it's like, whoa, I didn't expect that to happen. There's puzzles in here where you have to walk across invisible bridges. There's puzzles where you drop down into these different holes, and you have to kind of fight your way back out to unlock, the trap door, or the secret entrance, or that sort of thing. You'll find a lot of stuff to do. Combat is fun and rewarding, especially when you're kind of deeper and deeper into these dungeons and you're running out of ammo and you're really kind of conserving how you fight. Those, to me, are the golden moments of this game. All the customization you would expect would be there. You have different pieces of armor. You have different weapons. You have weapon mods. You have points that you can assign into your different character classes to determine how you want to play. There are items that you find that you can trade in for more valuable resources. There are items that will require you to do a little bit of grinding to find better crafting. It's all about how you want to play, and it's all about what you kind of want to do. This is a perfect example of what I was talking about. I dived through some pots because I wanted to get the treasure in the pots, and I fell through the hole, and I'm now in another area. Just that easy. There's now a new area to explore. There's the hole I just came through. I'm looking around like, wait, what the hell? Looking around, and yep, now it's a brand new area to explore. Had I not rolled through those pots, would I have ever found this area? I don't know, but it was cool. These were the kind of moments that I'm speaking about, and for this reason alone, I absolutely recommend this game, and I adore it. I will say that as you get towards the end, if you're expecting some massive story revelation, you're really not going to get it. Unfortunately, the game, it's like I said, it's very exposition heavy. It kind of takes itself seriously. If the game just said, hey, you're the hero of the universe, go save the universe, hero, and they gave you a gun and you rolled out, it would play largely the same. I never felt any major motivation to do what I did other than the sake of I wanted better gear, and I wanted to explore, and I wanted to find better pieces of loot, and I wanted to see what was out there in the world. Short of that, there wasn't really anything that made me say, oh man, like I gotta know what happens next in the story. And I think that's my biggest criticism of this game, is that at times the pacing does seem off. But if you are a fan of the first game, if you haven't watched my review of the first game, go check it out. If what you're seeing here intrigues you, absolutely go check this game out. It was a ton of fun. I'm not completely done with it, and this is the kind of game that like you beat and then you play on harder difficulty to get better gear. I know they're going to have a lot of DLC, and I know they're going to have a lot of post-launch content. They've already been talking about what they're going to be doing, and I think the base of all of that is in such a good place right now. The structure's in such a good place. The combat is fun, and I think you're going to have a blast playing it. So do yourself a favor, check this game out, enjoy it, talk about it. It's not a lot of money. I think it's like $35 right now, and you're going to get at least 25, 30 hours of enjoyment out of this, if not more, depending on how much you want to grind. That'll wrap up my video. I'm going to get back to this here spike trap, as you can see. Yet another crazy puzzle that just appeared, absolutely optional content that I found in exploring. That'll wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.